But on the Pride marches, some of the more outrageous antics, including full-frontal nudity at so-called family-friendly events, more and more gay men are now coming out, more gay men and women coming out to distance themselves from this behaviour. I've spoken to Douglas Murray, Olly London about this, and Andrew Doyle wrote a fantastic piece about Pride degenerating into a divisive political movement. And influencer Clarkson Lawson has caused many lefties to lose it by also denouncing what Pride has become.
I'm sorry, y'all, but if I hear one more person say that the reason conservatives are hating on Pride is because they're homophobic, I'm gonna lose it. This here is a picture of a bunch of adults celebrating Pride with children in a fountain where clothing is optional. This here is an old man twerking in his underwear in front of children during the parade. It's not homophobic to say that Pride is about celebrating degeneracy and sexual activity more than it is about love and acceptance, because that's exactly what it is now. And the worst part about it is that people who don't know better, not to a fault of their own, will think that this is a reflection of all gay people when it's not. Like, I'm sorry that most of you guys probably don't get to take your clothes off in private because nobody's interested, but that doesn't give you free reign to do it in public in front of children. And people want to come after me for saying our community has privilege. If these people were straight, they would be arrested in an instant for indecent exposure. But because it's a Pride parade, we're allowed to be naked in front of children. All I want is to be able to marry who I love, live my life free from discrimination, and to protect children from seeing naked people in the streets. I don't quite understand how, in 2023, that's a controversial stance.
And Kosha, Douglas Murray makes this point that once the battle for equality was fought and won, and there was marriage equality, there was equality under the law, that's when this movement kind of lost its way. It had to find a new battleground, and it went into some fairly radical areas.
It has, and this split between, I guess you could call it the LGB versus the rest of the acronyms, is a very important dynamic to watch. You're seeing it more and more for exactly that reason that all these people you're citing talk about. Because I think, as this person just stated very compellingly, it shifted away from acceptance and love into degeneracy, blurring the lines between children's spaces and, you know, what's appropriate to put into them, even medical transformation with the whole trans community. So it's gone into an area, some would say sinister even, and that's not what this group stands for. So another situation where you're seeing a collision course of different groups that are meshed together but don't stand for the same thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the gay men who have now speaking out, because for a long time it was predominantly gay women who saw a lot of this movement as anti-women and really infringing upon their rights and their spaces. So, yeah, it is a very interesting area to watch.
Kasha Gade said it best. This is LGB. It's not LGBTQ plus. LGB. We've got lesbians, gays, and effectively bisexual people who are looking for love, not lust. They're not looking to be prideful in their nature. They merely want to enjoy life like everyone else. And somehow our federal government or the World Economic Forum and a whole bunch of white women who really just think it's good to be supportive and not challenging has really allowed this. My entire life I've been sexually confused. I'm a straight white male with a insane libido, yet I can totally understand the confusion. Men can be attractive. And now we put young men in a world where they tell them to go check that out. And that's just dangerous. I don't know why we forgot that when we expose children to sexual deviance or any sexuality prior to puberty, it really messes with the wiring of the brain. Our brain goes through puberty because it is when our hormones start firing and wiring those deeper sexual relationship neurons. And if in youth you confuse that child, it now gives a decision matrix where they can wire bad neurons. And now you've confused them. Before, in my entire life, anytime I'd wondered if I was gay or straight or perhaps bi and just confused, I never wondered if I was a male. Never wondered if I was a man. I was curious about what I was sexually attracted to, and that was very confusing. And I just know that if I was a young boy and someone had given me these alternative ideas, I would have attached to them, and that is not a good thing. It's a very bad thing. We introduce information to children at an age-appropriate level, so that way it can be properly downloaded into their mind with real context. I love gays and lesbians. I joke on bis that they can't make a decision. And honestly, I have no problem with transvestites. I find it perfectly acceptable if a man feels comfortable dressing in women's clothing, as long as he acknowledges that he's a man who likes that, and he's not a woman in the wrong body. That's all. It's about accepting yourself, not trying to change who you are or what you're different. Never mind using chemicals that will severely affect your body forever that you just don't know about. These are neurochemicals. These are hormones. These same words are considered steroids depending on the circumstance. Don't let us lose the war of words. We just need to hold people accountable. Pride and lust have always been a sin. These poor troubled people who just feel like they want to fit in are being confused and then being told that they're oppressed. And we fight for our autonomy. It just sucks that they're confused in doing this. We love them all. We just also believe if you're not a breeder, you have no right to say anything about children. Make your own. Don't take anyone else's. If they are gay or lesbian, they'll find out naturally. Don't make it worse by confusing them and giving them possibilities that are unlikely and permanently damaging. Happy Independence Day. I hope you learned something. I'm Tristan with Radically Rational Radio. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay resilient.